The highway in West Texas looked endless that night. Brandon Lawson was driving alone, with only his headlights cutting through the darkness. The road felt unusually quiet, as if the entire area was holding its breath. His fuel gauge was slowly dropping, and that added to his growing tension. When he reached a narrow stretch of road near a bridge, he pulled over. The air outside felt heavy and still. Brandon took out his phone and called his family. He told them he was fine, but his voice sounded rushed and uneasy. He tried to explain where he was, mentioning a road split, a bridge, and a shallow stream nearby. His family checked their maps, but nothing matched what Brandon was describing. That made everyone nervous. Brandon stayed in his car for a moment, listening to the wind brushing through the dry grass. He said he could see faint lights in the distance, but they seemed far away. Even though he believed he was close to town, he was actually much farther than he realized. The night felt larger around him, and the quiet made every sound feel important. Something about that lonely highway already felt wrong. Brandon kept his phone call active as his family started driving to reach him. He stepped out of his car and slowly walked along the side of the road. The sound of his shoes on gravel and dry soil was clear through the phone. The wind grew stronger and tall grass moved around him like waves in the dark. He continued describing what he saw: open fields, a fence, and a small water channel nearby. His family tried to guide him, but his words and their map still did not line up. Brandon mentioned distant lights again, saying they looked like they might lead somewhere safer. He decided to walk in that direction, hoping it would take him closer to help. As he moved farther away from the road, the surroundings became harder to describe. The land felt uneven, and the sounds around him changed. At times, it seemed as if something else was nearby, though nothing could be clearly seen. The open phone line captured every step and every breath, creating a tense and uneasy connection between Brandon and those trying to reach him. While walking through the dark field, Brandon suddenly slowed down. His breathing became heavier and his voice took on a different tone. He told his family that something around him felt strange, as if the space had changed without warning. The wind still moved through the grass, but the night seemed quieter in a way that felt unsettling. Brandon paused, listening carefully. He said he thought he had stepped into something unexpected, though he could not clearly explain what it was. For a few seconds, only silence and faint background noise filled the call. His family tried to get his attention, asking him to speak, but his replies were short and uncertain. Then the line went silent. The call did not end with a clear goodbye. It simply stopped, leaving everyone on the other side confused and worried. They tried calling back, but there was no answer. The open field where Brandon had been walking now felt even more mysterious, as if the darkness itself had swallowed the connection. Whatever caused him to stop was never seen, but it marked the last moment his voice was heard. By morning, search teams arrived at the area where Brandon's car had been found. The vehicle was sitting quietly near the highway, just as he had described. Everything around it looked undisturbed, and there were no clear signs of movement leading away from the road. The ground was soft in some places, yet it showed no obvious paths. Teams began scanning the fields, the nearby water channels, and the uneven land between them. The phone signal data pointed to a small zone not far from the car, but the landscape there was difficult to move through. Tall grass, shallow dips, and narrow strips of water made it hard to see very far in any direction. Despite careful searching, nothing connected to Brandon was found. No clear traces, no obvious signs of where he had gone. Each hour that passed made the situation more puzzling. The place felt empty, but not calm. It was as if the land was keeping a secret. The open spaces of West Texas looked ordinary, yet they now held a story that no one could fully understand. As time went on, Brandon's family kept returning to that night. They listened again and again to the recordings of the phone call, focusing on every sound and pause. The wind, the footsteps, and the moment when his voice changed all became part of an ongoing mystery. People who studied the case tried to map out his final movements, but the details never fit together perfectly. The signal data showed only a small area, yet nothing in that space explained what had happened. The road, the field, and the dark sky above it remained exactly as they were on that quiet night. Years later, the questions still remained. What made Brandon stop so suddenly? What was around him when the call went silent? No clear answers ever appeared. The highway where he had pulled over continued to stretch across the land, and cars passed through it every day, unaware of the strange story tied to that place. The missing call became more than a moment in time. It turned into a mystery that still waits for understanding.